I don't know if I want to call it a rivalry, but man, I remember the fake punt in Eugene, right? Special teams play, and the Utah Utes knock off Oregon a couple years ago. But this game, Ted, we had it a couple times. Herbert and Carrington, when Carrington traded teams. Remember that a couple years ago? We called that one. And here we go. Oregon going to Utah. Everything is on the line. Oregon, number 3. They'll remain there in the CFP. They've been there a couple weeks now. Utah, they slide up in the college football playoffs rankings. I think it's 23. What do we think about this game? Because I'm glad we're calling our game, but if there was another one that we could call on the same day, it would be this one.
Yeah. So I'll just quickly think we have probably, I'm guessing the 2 best defensive players in the conference are going to be on the field, Thibodeau and Devin Lloyd. And I'm going to be the one that's going to come back and think which quarterback's going to play better in the big game. And Anthony Brown has played well in 2 pretty significant games this year for Oregon. He's had some other games maybe that wouldn't measure up, but certainly Ohio State was outstanding. This is Cam Rising's chance, right? Biggest game in his first season as the Utah quarterback. Biggest game by far. And he may have to do it again in the championship game. But this is the first big primetime bright light game. I'm fascinated to see if I think he is. I think he could be the better quarterback on the field Saturday night.
Ooh.
And how revved up is the Muss going to be?
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be the showcase for Pac-12 football. Sorry, Ted. Pac-12 After Dark this Saturday. The showcase is going to, I know, it's going to be that stadium is going to, people are going to watch that game and say, wow, the Pac-12's, the passion. I think that's a showcase this conference needs. I think the unique thing is, for all intent and purposes, Oregon's going to have to beat this team twice, and everybody knows it, for them to make the playoff. And I just think that's an interesting challenge. So to go in, beat them in Salt Lake, and then a few weeks later have to beat them again in Vegas, likely. So I just think that's an interesting mindset to have to deal with.
And I hope somebody in the CFP committee room brings the fact up again that Oregon and Utah will play twice in 3 weeks in probability, not certainty. And that Alabama and Georgia have played twice? What did we say, Yogi, the last 14 years?
Yeah.
They played twice in the regular season. They're in the same conference, I believe. I do believe they are.
Yeah, I agree. Don't worry, it's the vaunted week 11 and 12 matchups for the SEC. New Mexico, who outstayed, I think, last week, and I forget who Georgia's playing this week. But with that said, a couple CFP notes, and then I want to dive into this game. I think it's worth it. CFP-wise, I think there's a narrative out there that's inaccurate around, well, Ohio State has to play Michigan State, has to play Ohio State, and then a presumptuous title game. Because of those games, they're going to jump Oregon. But when you look at strength of record or strength of schedule, it's not that much of a discrepancy. So, for instance, strength of record right now, Oregon's 8, Ohio State's 9. That will change over the course of the next couple weeks. But the remaining strength of schedule, by whatever metric you want to look at, Oregon is at 12, Ohio State's at 7. So it's not like it's some dramatic 80-10. So I don't think that argument is going to have much weight in the meeting room. One thing that was very notable yesterday was Gary Barta, when pressed on Michigan State, the chair of the committee, he referenced how big statistics are when it's close. Oregon's got incredible statistics. You look at how they run the football, the amount of turnovers they create, how they finish games. And Anthony Brown, he's at his best in the fourth quarter. When you look at any metric, and I say that because I'm on the team that presents to the committee, and we are heavy in terms of making sure they have opinion, some film examples, and then, of course, the statistics to back that up. With that, in this game, I want to give you guys something that I'm going to be looking at. I'm with you on all the player stuff. I'm down with that. When I broke down these teams this week, Anthony Brown often will look to the sideline with the old check with me. He'll go to the sideline, turn his head, and get the play call and make an adjustment. What's Utah going to do? So I look Joe Moorhead, Morgan Scalley, how do they deal with each other in this game? You go back to 2019 champ game where Justin Herbert owned that game with his legs. Utah was playing a lot of man coverage, and Oregon ran a lot of zone read. And when you're playing man coverage, nobody has a quarterback in the zone read. Utah this year, because of injuries, because of youth on the defensive front, injuries in the back end, they played a lot of zone. So what do they do in this game? You know, how do they manage each other when they bring pressure? Anthony Brown's been good at anticipating pressure, throwing screens. Cam Rising's been phenomenal at doing that. So when I flip it on both sides of the ball, I can't wait to see the audibles and the checks at the line of scrimmage, because I think it'll come down, like every game in the second half, to 3 critical decisions by one of those quarterbacks.
Yeah. Can Travis Dye line up and run 25 times for 150 against Utah?
I don't know if he's going to have to, because that freshman running back was pretty incredible. When
You talk about Cardwell?
Yeah.
You talk about Cardwell. Yeah.
Byron Cardwell.
Right.
So, I mean, I think it's easy to say, I don't know if he can go do that, but he's done it when he's had to. Like this guy, he's leading the league in all-purpose yards, or yards per game. And he wasn't even the starter coming in. So he's elevated. He doesn't look the part, but he's got that toughness, kind of that Britton Covey side of him, where he just keeps showing up. So this is where I net on this game. I'd be curious what do you guys think will happen. I think Oregon goes in there and wins the game. And I say it because I think they've been the more consistent team. When I saw the Arizona game, and I get Tavion Thomas didn't play, but it wasn't the performance you need to be a championship team in my eyes. And then secondly, Oregon has met this environment a couple times this year. This is still a young team for Utah. So are they a little chippy? Do they have a couple false starts? Are they a little too antsy in front of that crowd? All things that I don't have an answer to because I haven't seen it yet this year. So I give Oregon the nod in a tight one on the road.
Is Tavion Thomas going to play? Do we know that as we're speaking?
Not for certain. I think so,
Okay.
but I haven't gotten the 100% on that.
So then let me flip the other side. Can Tavion Thomas line up and run 25 for 150? Can Oregon stop that?
Yeah, that's going to be a good question. I'll say this. For as much love, and we talked to Chip Kelly about it, we said, hey, tell me your favorite player on the Oregon defense. Brandon Dorlus was the first name that popped out of his mouth, and he's an interior defensive lineman.
Yeah.
Utah's shifted their O-line the last couple of weeks. They've had injuries. They've had things they've had to deal with. I think they'll run the ball. I think they'll have success, but I don't know if Oregon's going to give up the backbreakers, like explosive runs. I think it's going to have to be 10, 12 play drives, which Cam Rising can do. We've seen that. But I don't know. I haven't seen enough from Utah to just go on, like in my mind, I don't want to just go on the historicals of at home, Kyle Whittingham, what I think might happen.
Yeah.
I'm in my head when I watch it, I can't go there.
Oregon's biggest problem this year is they're at times play down to their competition. That is without question not going to be a problem this week. So I think if they're not up and ready for this game, they're not going to be up and ready for any game. So I expect Oregon to win because I think they're going to be at their best. And I think both teams at their best, I think Oregon is a better team.